school feeding is not a function of county government. It is true. It is not a function of county government. It is not a function of national government. It's a function of leadership. It is something that you cannot ignore. We cannot see a problem, Your Excellency, and say this is not mine to do. We must put concerted effort, which is why we are giving bursaries to secondary schools, to primary schools, despite that, to colleges, despite that being a national government function. In 10 years of devolution, tulikuwa na governor wa kwanza, tukakuwa na governor wa pili, tukakuwa na NMS, tukakuwa na Kananu. For 10 years, Nairobi County gave bursaries worth 3 billion, and in 6 months, Your Excellency, we have given bursaries worth 1 billion and 25 million ile ya kutoa bursaries. Tumepeana scholarships, and our scholarships ukipata form 1 unaenda form 1, 2, 3 and 4 without a break. These children of ours in Nairobi, we cannot shirk our responsibility. And I want to implore my MCAs. Article 189 of the Constitution gives us a framework of partnership between the national government and the county government. We are doing an MOU because the MPs will tell you, anyone who is sensible will tell you, watoto wa Nairobi wamekosewa. We have 210 schools only for a population of 5 million people. Our children who are not in the public schools are not in expensive private academies. They're in what we call up-bet schools, alternative provision of basic education and training. Unapata shule, Sunday ni kanisa, Monday ni shule, jioni kuna kesha, the next day there is a youth meeting, because we have not given the infrastructure. Successive governments have done bad to the children of Nairobi. We must do something. Your Excellency, sorry. Your Excellency, ni uchungu ya watoto. Many of these feeding programs, the cost, first of all, have not been consistent, and the cost to the parent is still high. 70 shillings kwa mzazi Nairobi saa ingine ni ngumu. 60 shillings ni ngumu. I want to thank our partners, because the cost of a meal at 45 shillings, the county is paying 25 shillings, SIF is paying 15 shillings, na mzazi analipa shilingi 5 peke yake. 5 bob, kobole. We're using a technology where mtoto anavaa saa, ambapo you can load, you can send them pesa today, you can send for a month, you can send for a week. But even that child who doesn't have that 5 shillings, Your Excellency, we will feed. We will not watch a child not getting food because of 5 shillings or because of 100 shillings. There is no dignity when a child is pulled out of the school, of the lunch line, because they don't have that money. Chakula, njaa ni kitu ya aibu sana. Ni kitu ya aibu, and you have told us that for a long time. Your Excellency, so we are spending 1.2 billion, and we hope, because we are working with the national government, that you will also match that, as you have said before. A question came up immediately whether we should have kitchens in every school or fewer central kitchens, each supplying a good number of schools. On reflection, we chose a network of schools, of central kitchens, with a hub and spoke model where one kitchen serves a number of schools around it. So this kitchen, for instance, is not for Roysambu Primary only. It is for all of the public primary schools in Roysambu constituency. And so we have groundbroken in Sarai constituency, Rescos Primary, Makadara, BD Primary, Kasarani, Njiru Primary, Embakasi South, Kwanjenga Primary, Embakasi Central, Kayole 1 Primary, Indagoreti North, Mudangari Primary, in Kibra, Toy Primary, in Westlands, Farasi Lane, Roraka, Babadogo. The amount of money, because I think there might be, Bishop said they are budgeting 1.2. Already in this budget, what I'm spending is already budgeted for building the kitchens. In the next financial year, naomba hawa MCAs wangu tupitishe so that we build the other 6 kitchens, plus now we subsidize the meals from August 28th. Your Excellency, also allow me to say, it is not only in semi-arid and arid areas where people are hungry, even here in Nairobi. Your Excellency, mara nyingi, interventions za njaa, interventions on marginalization ignore Nairobi. Because people assume everybody in Nairobi has money. Urban poverty, in many respects, bites harder than poverty in the rural area. Hii ni shamba ya mawe. Kama hauna pesa, you will not eat, you will not have a place to sleep. That is why we have struggled for Nairobi to be included in the marginalization policy. Wale watu wako kwa slums, wale watu wako Mathare, they are doing worse than people in even the arid areas. They are doing much worse. Your Excellency, we've had many stories from children. There was a child who gave a testimonial in Dagoretti South, and I thought they'd have come today, about how they had missed close to a full term just because of school. Today in Dagoretti South, the enrollment rate is 150% of attendance in school because of the feeding program. Your Excellency, this is a problem we must solve together. And for us to do that, because the dreams must be translated, it needs planning, persuasion, and cash, pesa. So we need to do 3 things to make our dream come true. We need to pay for it, we need to arrange the logistics, and we need to communicate our plan clearly so that every parent in Nairobi understands it and understands their part of it. We are here today as Nairobi County to write our own page of history, of that very proud history. We are here to groundbreak the 10th kitchen of Nairobi school feeding program, Dishi na County, the largest feeding program by a city on the continent of Africa, Your Excellency. A dignified life demands a decent education. That is why we want every single one of our children in school ready to learn. Your Excellency, when I was Senator of Nairobi, some schools had been vandalized during the COVID break. I remember going to 2 schools to donate desks. I went to Raila Educational Center in Kibra, and I went to Gatina Primary in Dagoretti North. When I went to Gatina Primary, and I asked these children, after giving them the desks, what would you like me to do for you? Normally the children will say, we want footballs, we want a school bus. The children all in unison said they wanted food. When a child asks for food, they really need it. As a parent, I was very sad. And that time in 2020, I said, I must do something about it. In the Senate, I drafted the National School Feeding Act, or rather bill. It never saw the light of day. I benchmarked to the US 1965 School Feeding Act. It didn't go far. But I said, if God gives me the chance to become the governor of Nairobi, children will eat food in school. Your Excellency, yesterday we were in Mudangari Primary with Honorable Elachi. We were in Jiru. We were in BD. When you look at the reaction of the children, when you mention food, I think as leaders we need to be very embarrassed. Our children are losing a third of their education when they are told at lunchtime to either go find food and they don't come back to class. They don't come back to school. And when they come back the next day, they can't catch up with what they were taught the day before. Yesterday in